Hello, lovelies. How are you today? I thought I would discuss our journey into buying a manufactured home, and I thought I would bring you along through the process, the ups and downs and ins and outs that we had to go through. Um, the first step is to determine which comes first, the land or the home. And that can be specific to your particular situation and how you're going to go about paying for your property and or home, if you're going to do a land to home financing, or if you're planning to pay for it cash outright. Now, the process that we took, we first we started planning 2 years in advance before we purchase anything. We went to several manufactured home facilities and looked at the various products that they had to offer. We took in consideration the price, the cost of the home that it would cost us. And we also tried to do our research in regards to the manufactured home builder. And I can't stress enough to do your due diligence and do your research. Leave no stone left unturned. If you ask as many questions as necessary, because this is a major purchase that you are about to embark on, and make sure that you have enough time to do what you want to do and that you get the outcome that you initially planned for in the beginning. Now, like I said, we started 2 years talking about it, and we went and looked at homes at we looked at 3 different manufactured home builders in Pennsylvania. Initially, we were on a mini vacation, and we went and looked at a model just to have something to do. And on our way home, me and my husband, we looked at each other and said at the same time, is that something that you can live in? I mean, because let me tell you, manufactured home has come a long way from the beginning when they were considered trailer homes or mobile homes. They've come a long way. You can get the same upgrades and amenities in a manufactured home that you get in a traditional home. The only thing that holds you back is how much money you're willing to spend. So like I said, we started our process about 2 years ago. And so we would come back and forth looking at models and everything. And we thought we settled on a model that we fell in love with, or so we thought. So in our particular situation, the house somewhat came first. So after we found the model that we liked, and let me emphasize that we wanted to downsize because I was already retired and my husband was planning to retire. So we wanted to downsize from what we have currently had. We had a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath townhouse that was 3 levels, and it had steps. And so we were planning for our future, but we wanted to plan for it before that time came. You know, the older you get, you know, sometimes you run into health problems that going up and down those steps aren't as easy when you were younger. So that was part of our motivation to downsize. We wanted something on 1 floor. And we are originally from the state of Maryland, and we looked around to buy an existing home or a new home, and the prices just blew us away. We was like, why are we going to pay 3 to 4 times what we pay for our current home? That just didn't make sense to us. So that's what led us towards a manufactured home. So we did our research, and my sister is a real estate agent, and all the pertinent information I will list in the description box. She said you don't want to do a trailer park community because you never own the land, and you would have to pay rent every month, every year, and they go up every year. So we said, no, we didn't want to do that because the townhouse community that we lived in was governed by an HOA, and we had lived there 30 years. And in the beginning, it was nice, but towards the end, it turned out to be somewhat of a headache. But anywho, that's off the subject. Let me get back to the manufactured home and land process. So we decided that we wanted to purchase our own piece of land. So, like I said, we had already went around and decided which manufactured home model that we liked. So we had to go out there and find a piece of property that would be able to fit that manufactured home. And that was somewhat of a lengthy process. I think it probably took us about 5 months looking at land. And again, we didn't live in Pennsylvania at the time. So you can see land online, and it's best to go visit the property so that you can get a true vision of what that land is about. Walk that land, so you can see if it has any humps, any lumps, any dips, if it's slanted, go visit the land. So we had to go up and down the highway, back and forth, every time we saw a piece of property that we thought we were interested in. And so another thing to consider when you're buying a piece of land, where it's located, if it's connected to the city water and sewer and electricity, or if you're out in farmland and you have to get a septic tank, stuff like that. So that will make your costs go up. A septic tank versus being connected to the city water and sewer line and electricity. However, even when you connect to the city water, sewer line, and electricity, you still will incur costs, because depending on what type of property you are buying, the land may be bare, meaning no one else has lived on that land. So there is no plumbing, there is no electricity. So you, as the landowner, you have to pay for them to introduce those utilities to your property. So I would suggest that you get all of that information beforehand so you can know what cost you are dealing with, as opposed to finding out on the backside after you have purchased your land, because that can take in consideration how much you pay for that land and how much you have to invest in that land to get it usable. And another thing, at least this is what I thought, that when you buy your own land, you can do what you want, but that's not the case. Each city, neighborhood, borough, or whatever, county, they have their own zoning laws. So you have to conform to those laws. So before we purchased our land, or any land that we were interested in, we called the zoning office to make sure that we could put a manufactured home on that property, because you don't want to run into the situation that you go out there and purchase a land and say, this is my land, I can do what I want to do, and then come to find out you can't put a manufactured home on it. Then you're stuck, right? So we made sure that we did our homework. We called, and sometimes it's hard depending on how the area is broken up. If you connect to the right zoning office, the right county office, or whatever. So we found the zoning office and we called them to ensure that the particular piece of property that we were interested in, that we could put a manufactured home on it. And they said, yes, we could, but it had to be a double wide and up. We could not put a single wide up there. In this particular area in Lebanon, Pennsylvania, they considered a double wide a residential home. So we was like, okay, great. We like the piece of property. And so we started to move forward. We put in an offer on the land. And so we bought the land. Now, the problem with the land that we ran into, most of the land that if it wasn't a whole lot of trees, we didn't want to deal with that because there's a cost with cutting down the trees, prepping your land to receive your home. So we tried to find a piece of land that was somewhat clear, that we didn't have a problem, you know, putting the home on, that we wouldn't have to incur additional costs beyond what we knew we already had to pay for. So we, when we got the land and we looked at it and everything, the land is longer than it is wider. So the particular model manufactured home that we initially selected was a manufactured home that goes the traditional way with lengthwise. So we had to go back to the drawing board and find a home that the front of the house is narrow and the house goes straight back. So good thing for us, we didn't have to look far. The particular manufactured home company that we bought the home for, they had just started building these type of homes. So we was like, yes, yes. So everything worked out as far as that end. So we purchased the land in December. And no, excuse me. We made an offer in December, right after Christmas, and we went to closing the second week in January. So we had that out of the way. So we purchased the house. We paid cash for it because, again, like I said, me and my husband, we're both retired, so we didn't want any bills. So then we decide to talk to my sister about selling our house. So I will go over that in the next video, but this particular video was mainly introducing our journey into buying a manufactured home and what comes first, the land or the home. And basically that could be, it's an individual decision, you know, depending on, you may pick your house first and try to find a piece of land that's conducive to that house. Or you can do like we did. We had to flip it because we could not find a piece of land that we could afford that would take a traditional style manufactured home. So we had to change our home. And so yeah, so that was our beginning process. And these are some of the, I'm looking down at my paper so I won't forget anything. You know, land improvements. Does your land need septic, sewer, electric, water lines, well, gas, gates, posts, and fences? And on property, they have a setback. And that's where you cannot build on that setback, even though it's your property. And our setback was 30 feet front and back and 10 feet on both sides. And that's mainly because if the city has electric lines or something like that, that they have to put in the neighborhood, they have that right of way to put lines in so that you won't build on top of something they may need to use, or so that you can have enough distance in between your neighbors. Another cost to consider is permits. You have various permits. You have your water sewer permit. You have your driveway permit. You have your zoning permit. You have your building permit. You have your electricity permit. You know, all these permits, and you have to pay for it. So you have to take those costs in consideration. Land prep. Now, like I said, when we came and visited the property, it was in wintertime. So the trees didn't look like they would be in the way because they wasn't full bloom. So when springtime came and we talked with the general contractor, he said, this tree right here is going to be a problem because it would be too close to the house. And then there were a couple of more trees that were in the area that we planned to put the driveway in. So we had to get 4 trees cut down. So that was a cost that we didn't initially plan on. So that's part of land prep, if you have trees in the way, if you have rocks in the way, if your land needs leveling, utilities stuff, plumbing, septic, sewer, access. Sometimes you have a piece of property that you want to buy that's in the front, and then you have somebody that lives behind you, but the road to get to your house is theirs. You have to request access to their road to get to your house, and it is best don't shake on it. Get that in writing, because if you have a problem with your neighbors in the future, they can prohibit you from getting to your house. In looking at land, we ran across that situation, and I said, no, I don't want to have anything to do with that. I don't want a neighbor's opinion or whatever, a good day, they having a good day or bad day, that will prohibit me from getting into my house. I want clean, clear access, not depending on somebody else. So those are the many things that you have to consider when you buy your piece of property, the additional costs that you have to take into consideration, the various permit fees, getting your land prepped before they even start the process, and getting your land prepped before they can deliver your home. So these are things that you need to research and get up front. And also, when you investigate which house you want, they will tell you how long it will take for them to build it. And it's just an estimate. They can finish before the timeline they gave you, or they can finish after the fact. So do your research up front so that you can know everything that you're going to have to deal with before you get the project started. And even when you do your best, there still might be some surprises along the way. So you have to have patience and try as much as possible to enjoy the ride, and make sure that whomever you buying your house with, whether it's your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, that you two are on the same page. Because what you don't want to happen is, it's already stressful enough dealing with the various contractors, the various offices, the zoning office, the permit office, dealing with all that, and you and your husband or wife or whatever are in disagreement on what you should be doing. So make sure that you do your research beforehand so you can know what you have to deal with. So I hope you will continue to watch my videos. I'm going to try to post a video each week of our journey into buying a manufactured home. So thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.